Three pages in and your eyes are already fighting you. Not because the book is boring, not because you're tired. Something very specific is happening inside your eyes and your brain right now, something almost nobody knows about. And by the end of this video, I'm going to give you the exact trick that flips this same mechanism into one of the most powerful insomnia tools that exists. But first, you need to understand why this happens at all, because the answer is stranger than you think. Let's kill a myth right away. Falling asleep while reading a physical book has nothing to do with intelligence, boredom, or discipline. It happens to the most obsessive readers on earth, people who love books more than almost anything in their life. What's actually happening is a very specific chain reaction. Three separate systems in your body, all quietly working together, and once you see how they connect, you'll never look at a bedtime book the same way again. It starts with your eyes, and this part alone is stranger than you'd expect. When you read a line of text, your eyes don't glide smoothly across the page like you assume they do. They jump. Rapid, tiny jumps called saccades, landing briefly, then jumping again, dozens of times per line, hundreds of times per page. Your eyes have been doing this every single time you've ever read, and you've never even felt it happening. But here's where it gets interesting, because a printed page forces something on your eyes that a lot of modern screens don't. And that difference is exactly why physical books hit you differently than your phone does. A printed page demands intense, sustained close-up focus. The muscles doing this work, called the ciliary muscles, have to hold a tight grip for extended periods, especially while you're lying down or reclined, which is exactly how most people read at night. This isn't minor. Sustained near focus like this is a well-documented driver of visual fatigue. And some researchers believe there's something even deeper going on, that this repetitive, rhythmic eye motion may carry a subtle, almost hypnotic quality, similar to other repetitive patterns your nervous system responds to with calm. That part is still debated. But what happens next isn't debated at all, and it might be the biggest piece of this entire puzzle. Because your eyes are only one part of the story. Your posture is doing something just as powerful, and most people have no idea it's happening. Think about how you actually read at night, not sitting upright at a desk, reclined, in bed, propped against pillows, dim, warm light nearby. This exact posture is scientifically known to trigger your parasympathetic nervous system, your body's rest and digest mode, slowing your heart rate, lowering your arousal, telling your body it's safe to shut down. Your brain isn't just following the story on the page. At the exact same time, it's receiving an old, powerful signal that says, this position means sleep is coming. And this is where something happens that most people have never once considered, something that completely separates a physical book from screen. There was a study, a real one, comparing people reading on a backlit e-reader versus people reading an actual printed book. The e-reader suppressed melatonin, your body's natural sleep hormone, by roughly 55%. The physical book caused almost no suppression at all. Let that sink in for a second. Your phone isn't just distracting you before bed. It's chemically fighting the exact drowsiness a physical book would have handed you for free. Which means all this time, the boring printed book in your hand wasn't working against you. It was the one thing not sabotaging your own biology. And there's one more layer to this that ties everything together. Your brain, during slow, quiet reading, shifts into something called the default mode network, the same mental state active during daydreaming and quiet reflection. Combine that mental state with the visual fatigue from those saccades, with the parasympathetic pull from your reclined posture, with zero melatonin suppression from the page in your hands, and you haven't just picked up a book. You've accidentally built a 3-layered sleep ritual every single night without ever meaning to. Now here's the part I promised you at the start, because once you understand this mechanism, you can flip it deliberately, on purpose, turning what feels like an annoying obstacle into one of the simplest tools for actually falling asleep faster. If you want to use this to your advantage, here's exactly what to do. Dim, warm lighting, nothing bright or cool toned, a physical book, never a backlit screen, a reclined, comfortable position, the same one you'd naturally read in anyway. 20 to 30 minutes before you actually intend to sleep. That's it. You're not fighting insomnia here. You're using the exact same biological trigger that made you drowsy 3 pages into that novel, except now you're aiming it on purpose. But maybe you're in the opposite situation. Maybe you need to stay awake, an exam tomorrow, a deadline tonight, a chapter you actually need to finish. Here's how you fight back against your own biology. Sit upright, feet flat on the floor, nothing reclined. Use bright, cool-toned lighting, ideally something close to a well-lit office. And every 20 minutes, look up, focus on something roughly 20 feet away for 20 seconds. That single break releases the sustained grip your ciliary muscles have been holding, resetting the visual fatigue before it fully takes hold. One last thing, and this matters. If you consistently pass out within minutes of reading, even fully rested, even reading something you're genuinely excited about, that pattern is usually completely normal. But if it's extreme and constant, it's worth mentioning to a doctor, since persistent excessive sleepiness during quiet activities can occasionally point to something like sleep apnea. So next time your eyelids get heavy 3 pages into a book, don't blame the story. And don't blame yourself. Your eyes, your posture, and your brain's own chemistry just quietly ran the exact sequence they were built to run. It's not a failure of focus. It's biology doing exactly what it's designed to do. The moment everything around it starts to look like bedtime.